Hi, good morning, guys. My name is Shino. I'm going to explain the CURD operation today and how we are going to use that Spring Boot application. By using the Spring Boot application, how to develop a CURD operation. I will explain line by line, and I will use that. What are the dependencies I will use? Each and everything I will noted here, and Scratch project I will create, and I will do that CURD operations. So guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. Once that completed, I will share that video as well as code also I will share you. So we can start now, right? So we can take a scratch project, a new project for that code operation. What are the dependencies how to require and what are the which database we require we will take here each and everything I will explain you. So line by line, please concentrate here. So first of all, how to create that Spring Boot project into that STS ID. Please look here, go to file, new, and click on that Spring Starter project, right? So here I need what are that application name? Code operation, Spring Boot code operation. Okay, code operation, right? Here I'm taking that Java 8. I'm selecting Java 8 and the type is that Maven and tagging type is that where, language is that jar, right? And group ID is the group is that com.soft. Artifact ID I'm taking Spring Boot code operation and version not snapshot. You can take anything, no need to change here. And the description Spring Boot demo Spring Boot, right? So description I can write here Spring code operation, Spring Boot code operation, right? Spring Boot code operation, right? Click on next button here, and you can add dependencies. What are the dependencies we have to repeat? Please select here. So first of all, what I search here, Spring Web I required, and Lombok I required, and MySQL driver I required, and JPA Data-JPA I required, and Actuator required, and DevTools required, and MySQL driver JPA, and yeah, this is that web Spring Web, MySQL driver, JPA, Spring Boot Actuator, Lombok, and DevTools. So what is the purpose of all the dependents? I will explain. Spring Web is that if you want to create a RESTful web services, then we can use that Spring Web annotation. Sorry, dependencies. MySQL driver. So MySQL driver, if you want to connect with that MySQL database, then we can use that MySQL driver, driver class related dependencies we are selecting here. And Spring Data-JPA. Spring Data-JPA means we are not able to write any code for that connecting that database. So for that we are using the JPA. JPA can take care to that connecting with the data with the database. So for that purpose, we are using for Data-JPA and Spring Boot Actuator. Spring Boot Actuator is not required, but if we want to check with that our application health checkup, purpose we can using that Spring Boot actuator annotation. It is going to check that what logs we can see into that Spring Boot actuator endpoints. And Lombok. Lombok means what is the purpose of Lombok is if we don't want to write that setter getters method, then we can use for setter getters. So if you don't want to use, then generate our manually, then we can use for Lombok, right? And Spring Boot Dev Tools. Spring Boot Dev Tools is that annotation dependencies purpose is if we don't want to recompile that application, restart that application. So if we want to auto restart that application, for that purpose we are going to using that Spring Boot Dev Tool annotation dependencies. Okay, so click on next and finish. Right. So now what I'm going to do now here. So what is our application name? Our application name is that Spring Boot CURD operation, right? So what I'm going to do here it's not able to uh, is not able to update that project. So for that purpose, what we have to check here form.xml file, getting that error. So what is that error? I will resolve that. So how we can resolve that parent version is there, so we can remove that release, then it can be remove that error. And what we have to do, we can right click on that project and click on Maven and update that project, right? And here force update of the snapshot release. Okay, so already the parent got that error, right? So it is resolve that issues. So I'm going to click on that okay button. So it is going to update the project. So what we have to do now is going to create in that Spring Boot project, right? So next what we have to do is going to update in that project, and we need to check here what are the dependencies came into that. We have to check here. So all the dependencies can be we can see into that form.xml file. What are the versions? This is that is Spring Boot version 3.0.12 is that Spring Boot version, and this is that Java version. Java 17 is we are using Java 17, right? Instead of that, we are using 1.8 version, right? Java 8. Okay, Control S. And after that, what we have to do now? Yes, it is that MySQL connectors. This is the Lombok. This is a Tomcat. Tomcat we are not able to add it because of when you are going to adding that the Spring Web dependencies automatically. Tomcat dependencies also added, and JUnit test cases also it will be added, right? So it is Lombok dependencies, right? So what we have to do now? So and we need to do what we have to do. We can check into that application properties file. Application properties files means before that what we have to do, we can check our application running properly or not, and what port number it is this application running, we can check. Okay, so run as Spring Boot application. So what is the Tomcat default port number? 8080 is that default port number. So it is running or not, we can check here. So we are getting some could not find lower main class com dot Spring Boot operation application, right? So we can resolve the issues. What is the major issue here, right? See, it's got some issue, right? So what is implicit super constructor object? Control yes. Except the project, we can in the project. And what is the issue? Add MySQL, jar, PHP. Okay. Configure build path. Yeah. Configure build path. Very simple. What you have to do. See here. Why it is getting that issue? I will tell you. Right. Click on that project. Build path. Configure build path. Libraries. Here. Click on class path. Libraries. Module. Project libraries. So here no JDK. We need to do that thing. Before that, what we have to do? When JRE system, yeah, is got. So JDK, we need to add JDK. Sometimes we are not able to see JDK. That moment we can go to that environment, we can add to that JDK, right? So we added apply and close, right? Configure build path. It came to the Java build path. Now right click and Maven update the project. Source update. Click on OK. Java SC. It came again Java SC, right? Go to the build path, configure build path, and click on the JRE systems. Click on JRE. Alternate JRE, JDK, and finish, apply, and close. Right? All the error it's gone. Right? Yeah, not required. I think you can delete it. Right? Yeah. Resolve the issue. Then what we have to do? We can run the application. Spring Boot project is going to running that application. It's got one more error. What is that? The section in thread main Java on support class version, right? So here on support class version or Spring Boot compiled version Java. See here that compiled version is not able to support. So what we have to do? Go to form.xml file and check into that. This version is not able to support it. What we have to do for that? 2.5.2 this version we can add, and Java 1.8 already added. So now click on we can save. So it is going to loading that building that workspace, right? 100% is completed, and now we can start on run a Spring Boot application. 1 minute. It's got the issue into that. One more time we can start here. Run Spring Boot application. Why it is generating launching Spring Boot code operation as an encountered problem. Could not read Maven project, right? So that Maven project is not able to read it. So go to here. See here we got that we got the error. That is the reason we are not able to run it, right? So for that purpose, what we have to do, we can use first of all connector Java, connector F1 Java, but it's not able to resolve. Instead of that, we can add one more dependencies. How we can add that dependencies, I will show you, right? MySQL dependencies. You can go in Maven repository, and you can search here MySQL uh, MySQL connector, right? MySQL connector. So what we have to do here, we can check, not this. We already using this only, right? So we are not able to use. Instead of that, we can use one more SQL. I will show you how we can check. This also to use, and if any others, we will check. Please wait, because of no, it is also no. So for that purpose, what should I have to do? Simple, yeah, very simple. If you have any questions, first of all, what you have to do, this is we got the error here. So copy this and go to the chart GPT. Just click and enter. Give that a proper code for us. 1 minute. Please correct. Please correct it for us. Copy and come here. Delete that and use it. Control S. I think it's not able to resolve. Okay. If it is not resolved, we already using somewhere into that project. So what I am going to do here, I will take uh, I will take where find employee, right? Or find employees Spring Boot employee apps. It's also having, and or else calendar API also having. So go to form.xml file and check to that. Yeah, this is the dependencies for that. Just copy it. We can find out in Google also, but already I'm using a number of times from Google, so I'm not able to waste my time. That is the reason I took the dependency from the already existed project, right? So that error also gone, right? This is that not error. This is that warning. We are ignore it, no problem, right? Running. So what we have to do now, we can minimize the project and go to our CURD operation project, right? So click on that, right click on the project and run as Spring Boot project. Okay. Yeah, it is going to run in that application. So it is got some issues. What is that? Yeah. So what is the issue? Can you check here? We are added to that JPA repository and what MySQL database, right? So MySQL database, we are not able to connect it and we are not able to give it. So, right. So for that purpose, what I am going to do here, go to the calendar and what I'm going to do, resource application properties files is there, right? This is that this is that configuration, driver class configuration, driver class name, URL name, username, password. We have to give that, and the Hibernate JPA properties here. configured here, right? So for that purpose, what we have to do, we can copy this configuration files and go to the application properties file and you can use, right? So by default, the port number running on 8080, I'm going to use that 8081, right? So this is that port number and this is the driver class and this is the database, right? So what I'm going to CURD DB, I'm using the CURD DB, CURD operation DB, right? Or the CURD DB. So you can create that database into the MySQL database, right? So already I opened that workbench, MySQL workbench I already opened. So we can use, see here, first of all, how to create database, see here, create database, database name we need to give here, right? So first of all, database is created, right? And use means if we want to use that a particular database, we can write this query, right? Right. And if you want to show the database, show database, right? You can see all the databases, right? So which database we are using now? CURD operation. CURD operation already is there, right? Already created, right? So no problem. So now we can run our application. We are not able to writing in single line also, right? We are not able just configuring some issue, some exception we got. So what are that exception we got? We are going to resolve first of all, right? So right, it is creating the loading the driver classes here showing, right? Yeah, no problem. It is running on the 8081 port number, right? So our application running fine now. So what we have to do now, we can create that, we can develop that application. What are the what are the classes and what are the methods we have to record, how many packages we have to record, we can create here, right? So first of all, we need to create here packages, right? What is that base package here? com.software, right? So what I'm going to do, if we want to create any other packages, some must and should I need to use base package with extension, right? But how we can use that is concentrate here com.soft.entity, right? Entity class I'm going to create it, right? After that, one more package I need to create, that is repository com.software.repository, right? I created, and I'm going to creating all the packages first, and after that I need to start the coding, right? For that, what we have to write, I'm going to creating one more package, that is com.software.binding. What is the purpose of binding? I will explain you when I'm going to creating that class, right? One more package, that is com.soft. And service. I'm going to service packages. And one more package, that is controller. com.software.controller. I created how many packages here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's enough, right? Yeah. So what we have to do, we can start that coding part, right? First of all, entity class I need to create. What are the properties we have to require, right? Creating that class, new class. So I'm going to CURD operation, right? So I'm going to use user entity, right? User class I'm going to create user entity. And what are the properties we have to record? I will tell you. See guys, actually when we are going to use that entity class, what are the properties we have to record before creating that class? We can analyze what are the user properties is there, right? User, first of all, user first name must be required, right? So how we can declare that properties? Properties is nothing but some people who don't know, some people are confusing. When you are going to create in that entity class, what and here we are going to using that some different terminology, which we are going to using for that project related terminology we are using here. At that moment, some people are not able to get what is property. Some people to know only if they will call only variable only, but in real time we are not able to call variables, right? If I have that only one property, then we can call variable, but here multiple properties is there, right? So that user can have that multiple properties. For that purpose we are going to use that use the word is technical word is a property, right? So how we are going to create property, please look here. So private or name, right? And private string last name, right? Private email, email, email ID, right? And private, I'm going to use long for phone number, mobile number, right? I'm using 4. And one more property we need to take, private integer, 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 what? ID, ID, right? See, this is the property I need to take here. And what are the annotation we are going to using here? Please concentrate, guys. So when we have to that when we are attending that interview at that moment, what are the Spring Boot annotation we are going to use? Can you tell present positive or type of annotation we are going to use? Some people are asking, right? So we can tell in entity class what are the annotation we are going to use in here. Please concentrate here. I'm going to use at the rate entity, at the rate entity. Our class, our class making as a entity class. So for that purpose, I'm going to use at the rate entity, and I'm going to use at the rate table. What is the purpose of at the rate table? This class should be configured our table columns, and this property should be same. So for that purpose, I'm going to use a direct table, right? And what are the table name? Name equal to double quotation. I'm using that table name is user entity, right? If you are not able to configure that table name, it is automatically take that by default take the table name is a user entity, right? And if and one more annotation we can take here, that is at the rate data. What is the purpose of at the rate data? Do you know? Here, see here. Here generating equal method, hash code, equal method, hash code method, toString method, and a setter, getter. All those things it is automatically generated when we are going to use that at the rate data annotation, right? And one more annotation we can take here at the rate ID means every table can contain one primary key. So that primary key we are not able to pass from the end user. It is automatically generated purpose we are going to use at the rate ID. And one more annotation we are going to use at the rate generated value generated value annotation. Automatically taking it is identification purpose we are going to use that generated value annotation, right? So this is the minimum annotation we are going to using annotation here. And some more annotation is there. At the rate column annotation is there. At the rate column annotation means column annotation. What is the purpose of it means if we don't want to configure first name into the database table column, we can use instead of that we can configure other first name underscore name something like that. Okay, I'm not able to take in that. If you want to take, you can, right? And I'm going to taking here one more annotation, one more property, that is private long, sorry, local date. Local date and created time. When this user created, if you want to see that particular time, then we can use the at the rate local date created time timestamp. We need to take that annotation also is there. I will show you. Private local date updated time. Created time and updated time, right? So we can take here to annotation, that is at the rate created timestamp, and one more annotation is there. When you are going to update our details, at that moment it is going to update the time also, right? So for that purpose, I'm going to use updated timestamp, right? To annotation, right here. Okay, right. See here, automatically when I'm going to click on that control yes, automatically it is reloaded. Automatically server started and that table also created. Can you check? Go to your database and check that application. Just to refresh. See here, table name will be show user entity. So how we can check? Select start from user underscore. See here. That all the which one we are declaring into the entity class, all the columns here create id, created time, and email id, first name, last name, mobile number, updated time, right? These fields we are going to create it into the entity class, right? So how many columns is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 7 columns is there, right? 7 properties we are declared into that entity class. See here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? I think you got the clarity. Okay, so after that what we have to do, we can create. So see here, why, and next way I'm going to create in there only these 4 properties. From that Swagger API or Postman or any UI, we are not able to we are not able to send that created time. We are not able to give that created time and updated time and ID. It is automatically generated ID and created time also it is automatically it will be do, and updated time also. We are going to send only 4 properties here. 4 value we can give from to that Swagger or Postman. I will show you. So which one we are going to send the values, that value we can take that separate class. For that I'm going to taking for that I'm going to taking that binding class, right? I'm going to use for that entity binding, entity or else user binding, user binding class I'm going to take here. Okay. See here, and what are the properties I took here? Only 4 properties, right? So that properties which one we are declared in binding class, that property should be available into that entity class. Otherwise, it's not able to store, right? That property and this property should be equal. Equal means that variable name must be same. Otherwise, it's not able to store, right? See here. So if we want to generate the getter setter, what we have to use at the rate data annotation I can use here, right? It's already generated. Okay, it's done. Entity class completed and binding class also completed. Next, what I'm going to create a repository interface. I'm going to creating interface here. See, I'm going to using that the Data-JPA interface. I'm going to use here. User repository, right? User repository, right? And we can extend from where JPA repository, JPA repository. See here two parameter expecting JPA repository, two parameter expecting. What is that? One is that user entity, right? User entity and id is that what in entity class, what is that id is that data type is that integer, right? So I'm going to use id data type, right? So what is the issue here? We need to what import that class. So for that I'm going to click control shift o, right? Is imported here, imported, right? That entity class imported, that error gone, right? Next, service interface I need to create. What are the method I required here? User service. I'm going to use here interface name user service. So what are the here we are going to create in that abstract method, right? How we can creating that abstract method? Some people who don't know what is the return type and what are the parameter we need to pass into the in interfaces service interfaces. So some people are lot of people confusing here, guys. See here, I'm going to how I'm going to creating that in interface, and what that the method return type what I'm going to taking and what are the parameter I'm going to taking, I will explain, right? So public and return type means when my data is stored into the database, I need uh, one response. That is, that response should be, I have that string, right? That response should be string type. Okay. And what are the method name? Save users. Save user. Only one user I'm going to save, right? So, right. See here, I'm going to creating that abstract method. But what is the parameter we are going to storing? So see here, only user binding data, this data I need to store on this data. So means we are not able to store a single properties, first name last name, we are not able to pass. I'm going to pass in that entire object is nothing but that class. When you are going to use that parameter as a that class name, this property, this all the properties should be come under this user binding class, right? So what I'm going to take here, that parameter as a here parameter as a user binding, right? User binding, This is the reference variable. No need to confuse here. This is the class name. This is the reference variable. Okay. And here getting that error right. Control Shift O. Right. Okay. Only if we want to save the data, then I'm going to taking that return type what string. Right. And what are the parameter? That class name I'm going to means that is the object. That entire object I'm going to saving into that database. Right. Okay. And only one method I'm creating here, one by one I will show you. And I'm going to creating one more class implementation of that service user service IMPL class. Okay, for that I'm going to use that class user service IMPL class, right? And implement where user service, right? Okay, add unimplemented method. How many methods available in user service interface? Only one. That method came here, right? Control shift delete. Okay, see guys here. And what are the annotation we are going to use? At the rate service. What is the use of at the rate service annotation? If we want our class making as a B class, then we can use at the rate service. Okay. Okay. So how we can write business logic here? Observe here. I'm going to use this is that user repository interface, right? So user repository interface can contain lot of method. A CURD operation method can contain here only, right? In this class can contain that what user repository implementation. This JPA repository implementation. If we want to check that methods, we can go there. And what are the method available? We will show, right? Repository not is implementation method, right? Declaration implementations, repository implementation. See here, JPA repository implementation, not this. Control Shift declaration. See here, if we want to retrieve all the stored data into the database, for that purpose we are going to use find all. Okay, find all list. Find all is there. Okay, if you want to sort the data and find by ID. Find by ID also. If you want to find all by ID, not find all by ID, save all, right? Save end pass, and this is that method available into that repository interface. Okay, find all. This is that default method we can use into that our service IMPL class. How I'm going to use? Please concentrate here, guys. User repository. User repository means what are the method available into the JPA repository. That method should be available in user repository interface, right? Okay. So how I'm going to use? Please concentrate here. I'm going to use private private user repository user repo, right? And use at the rate auto. Okay. What is the purpose of auto word? I think you know, right? Auto word means instead of creating that class, we can acquiring the properties user repository interface. All the properties we can use by using that user repo reference variable. Okay, I will show you. See guys, user repo dot save. See, first of all, what I'm going to do here. See, this user binding class I need to store, right? User binding class. User binding class it's not able to storing into the database. We are we need to converting this user binding class into the entity class. How I'm going to converting that class? Please check here. First of all, what I'm going to do here, user entity 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 class. I need to create here user entity user equal to user user entity, right? I'm going to converting binding to entity. Okay. Okay. So how I'm going to create? See here. How I'm going to converting that user binding class into that user entity. Please check here. So I'm going to use bean util bean util bean utils dot copy property. Copy properties, right? This copy properties annotate method expecting two parameters. One is the source, one is the target. Source means source means which object we are going to store, and target means which object we are going to store into the database, right? User binding is that source, and user entity is that a target class, right? So what I'm going to do here, source nothing but user binding, right? This reference variable I'm going to pass here. Target is that target user. This is the target, right? So I'm going to use this reference variable. Okay, right. Now see here is converted the user binding converted into that user, right? So now what are the user can contain these four properties, and remaining properties also already binding into that user entity class, right? So what I'm going to do now, by using this reference variable, I'm going to save that user entity class I need to store, right? Control V user repo dot save method. See here, save method what it will be expecting? User, right? Control Shift L. So this save method, something it will be written. That save method return type what? Entity, I think. Yeah, it is entity class returning. Okay. And what I'm going to return, once that data stored into the database, I need to return the data stored successfully in database, right? I need to write that string is the data stored in database success. This message I want to see in where Sagar or question mark. I will show you. Okay. Service IMPL class completed, right? Why it is getting that error? See here, we need to save, right? It's completed. IMPL classes implementation business logic completed, right? So next what we have to do here, only controller class left. In controller package, we can create here one class, that is class name user controller, right? User controller class I'm going to create it here, and using header rate REST controller annotation. What is the use of REST controller? You know very well, right? Our class want to make as a controller, and our class want to make as a bean. Then we can use a direct REST controller. Right? I'm going to creating here one method public, and I'm going to use response entity. Response entity I'm going to use. What is the purpose of response entity? I will explain you. See here, response entity. I'm giving that what this is that what we have to call type safety. Return type is string, right? So that method name save user, save or else store save user, save user data, save user data. Okay, I'm going to taking this method. Okay, and what are the what are the parameter we need to take here? Also we need to take what is that service IMPL class. What are the parameter we took here? Binding class. Same request come from where? In controller class, this method. Okay, user binding, user binding, user binding. Control shift O will be go, and why it is showing that error means we need to write return type, right? I will resolve it, no problem. And which method we need to invoke? In service IMPL class method we need to work, right? What is that service IMPL class method can contain? Save user, right? Save user. So we need to create the class into that controller. For that I'm going to use private service IMPL user service, user service IMPL, right? Control shift O, use at the rate auto, done, right? So what we have to do now, by using this reference variable service user service IMPL reference variable dot, which method I need to call here? Save user. Save user method available in where? User service IMPL class. Okay, right. And what are the property we need to pass here? User binding. What is the reference variable? We are not able to pass directly that user class name. For that user class name, we are going to create one reference variable, right? This is the reference. That reference we need to pass. Okay, right. And it will be given that some return type. What is that? Mm, user data. Hey, not this method. Equal method I'm going to take. Not equal method here. Save user. Okay, user binding. Right, and remove this. If you don't know return type of this method, no need to do. Shift Alt, come to that after semicolon, and keep that your cursor on after semicolon and shift alt and L. You can click save user return type. That is that came in as a return type as string. Why it is a return type as string? Because of in service IMPL class that return type what we took here string, right? That return what we have to give in that in return type the data stored in the database, this return type given to us as a return, right? So that is the reason here this method given us to return type as string. Okay, how we can return here for this response entity. See here, return new response entity, response entity, right? And a here, if we want to give that return type again, you can data stored successfully. Data stored successfully, comma, and if you want, HTTP status code. If you want to show status code, if the data is stored successfully, then HTTP status code was 200, right? If you want to show, you can HTTP status dot o. Okay, it's completed now. Yeah, very simple, nothing here. And that what is that URL here? What are the HTTP method name? Post method, right? At the rate post mapping. HTTP post mapping method I'm going to take in and that URL name slash save. Okay, this is that endpoint URL. Okay, see here when you are sending that request from that postman, so that request should be come here only. That save method upon to that this method. So this method passing that save method passing that what user binding as a request. That user binding class can contain some properties. Some property, thus property should be coming as a JSON value. That JSON value should be storing into that user binding, and user binding variable can contain that value, and it is going to send to that save user, right? So save user control and just click here implementation class. You can go implementation, your save user implementation, right? This is that say user, and it is that user binding came here, and this user binding what I'm going to do, it is going to converting into that user. What is that user? User is that user entity. It is completely converted into that entity class. So that entity class username I'm going to store into that save method, right? I think you got right. Okay, it is completed. Okay guys, so I will show you how I'm going to store the data into the database. Please look here. Okay, I need to take postman. At the trust controller, and few things we are going to forget. What is that? I will tell you. See guys, actually we are sending that request as a JSON data, right? That JSON data comes as a request body, right? Request body. So for that purpose, I'm going to use get the rate request body, or else I will show you at runtime what is the issue we got. Okay, if we tell you now, you are not able to get, right? localhost 8 what is that port number 8081 slash save, right? Save and body raw data JSON. Okay, see here. And what are the properties we are going to sending? Only binding class property we are going to send, right? So for that purpose, I'm using request as Padma, value as a Padma, last name Paramulla, comma, double quotation colon, colon. How many properties? Only 4, right? Right, it's done. Email ID, mobile number. Email ID. What is that email ID? Padma 23@gmail.com. Okay. And what is that next property? Mobile number. Mobile number should be long type, right? We are not able to take as a string. 7842680412. It's not my number. No need to try it. Okay. Yeah, it's completed. Okay. And what are the method type is post, right? So is completed. We are given that for JSON data assigning to this property, this data. When I'm going to clicking that send button, this property should be injecting where this class only, right? This class it will be injecting, and this parameter, this class can contain that injecting that value, and this user binding class we are going to sending as a request from that controller. It will be come into here as a request, and that user binding is that what reference variable. That reference variable we are going to send to that save user. That save user method available in service IMPL class. Service IMPL class can contain that business logic. See here, save user binding. We are going to converting again to that user entity reference variable. We are going to save into that user repo.save method. It is going to save into the database, right? So this is the execution flow. Is going to saving or not, and what type of error it will become, we will see now, right? Click on send. Data stored successfully, right? Data stored successfully. Yeah. Go to the database and just refresh here. But see here, guys, it's we are getting return type as a data stored successfully, but data not able to store it. Why? Only one request came, but data not stored because of that request body annotation is not there. For that purpose, the data not stored here. Direct request body. Okay. Now check. Same data I'm going to sending one more time. The data stored successfully. This request came from where in controller class only, and go to check now in database table, right? What is the issue? Is not able to saving, right? So we did some mistake. Where is that mistake? We need to find out. Okay. request body, thread trust controller, thread post mapping, save method, user right, user binding. We are passing same parameter, right? Is given to us. This is the request as a request type. It's same, no issues, and the data not stored into the user service. See guys here, what is the issue we need to find out here? Source and destination. See, if you don't know the data came here or not, if we want to find out, what should have to do? See here, before converting that user binding class into that entity, what we have to do here, we need to write one SOPLN statement. If you don't want to understand that data came or not, we can check by using this difference variable, right? Dot to string method. Okay. I already shared one more request. Please check here that data came or not. We need to check into the console from to last. See, first name, last name, mobile number. Yes, see, only user binding com.software binding user binding is not able to claim as a request. The data not came here, right? Or else you can stop on time to that server and close that, leave that console. One more time we can run that application, Spring Boot application. Easily we can find out the data why not storing into the database. I will show you practically. No need to worry guys. It is very simple to understand. Right? One more time. We need to share that request. Otherwise, see here. If we did any mistake from that response side also, it's not request side also, it's not able to store the data into the database. Localhost 8081 save host method localhost 8081, right? See here that user binding Padma, last name, Paramula, email ID, and mobile number. It's got it, right? Okay, okay. But database it is stored or not, we need to check now. Yeah, data storage successful because of our application. When I'm going to starting in start that run that server, this initial level started, right, and automatically Lombok dev tool is there. That is the reason it is auto compiled, auto restarted that server. So is the issue. So I'm going to resolve that issue. It's going to save the data successfully. Okay, issue the data into the console as well as database, right? I need to store one more data, that is, you know, Reshino .com 310.767. Yeah, I'm going to send a request one more time. Data stored successfully, and come here and check data stored or not. Yeah, is successfully stored. Okay, see guys how it is going to store the data into the database. Did you get that clarity or not? If you're not able to get clarity, please let me know. I will tell one more time. Okay, I think you get clarity, right? See here, the data stored in database successfully. Okay, but that return type, what I am going to see, where we are going to see that database. See here, when the data stored successfully, we already using here HTTP status code, right? In controller class, we are going to response entity status code, HTTP status code. See here, http.ok means status code. What it will be going to show here? 200. This status code it will be show. If you don't want to see here 200, it will be show, and in response also him has said 200. If you don't want to show 200, then what I'm going to do, 201 I need to see. For that purpose I'm going to use one more response status code created dot created. Okay, is going to show 201. See here 201 it will be show, right? And now you will see 200 right here, 201 it will be show. We can see one more request. Kamala Kanpur and if you can give some data me mobile number, no problem. One minute, sir. Guys, actually I'm not able to saving here application. That is the reason it's not able to get in that request. See guys, 201. The data stored in database in 2 times a thought. Okay, 201. Okay. Created time and updated time we are not able to given that time, and ID also are not able to give, right? Only 4 properties. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 properties we are going to give in request from that one postman, and this created time, updated time, ID automatically generated because of already we given the annotation in entity class. Already I shown you, right? See here, at the rate ID, creation time, updated time, right? It's automatically updated. Okay, this is that what post method. So what we have to do, one more method we need to implement practically, guys. Very simple. You can go here, and I need retrieve all this data. I need retrieve all this data. For that purpose, I'm going to create one more API, that is public list of what user entity, user entity. Okay, get all users, right? Control shift O, utility class, right? And go to that service IMPL class, override that unimplemented method, and control shift delete the commented code and use the repository reference variable and just find all method I need to call, and if we don't know what is the return type, control shift L is given that return type as a list of user entity. So what I'm going to do here, I'm returning this list. Okay, done. IMPL classes business logic completed. I need to go controller class and I need to create one more method, one more API into that here. So public response entity, and I need to give that list of user entity, right? User entity and all user and all users, right? We are not able to give any return type because of we are retrieving data. So we are getting all the data. If we want to get all the data, we no need to pass any parameter. Okay, control shift O, util package, and here use that service IMPL reference variable dot which method I need to call, get all user method, right? Get all user method, and it will be written some list of users, and we can return here. That's always very simple. RETU and return me response entity, list of user entity, and here I'm going to pass the all user as a first parameter and HTTP status for what found is there. Yeah, data found, right? So what is that found response code here? 302. If it is not, then it is going to give that 30 related error, right? And give that at the rate get mapping, right? Get mapping method, and using that endpoint URL get users, right? Get users endpoint URL I'm taking here is completed, right? So I need to send the request from where post, right? Instead of save, I'm using get user. Instead of post, I'm going to use get method. If we want to get the data from database, HTTP method, we need to take get method from that postman, and in controller class also we taking the HTTP method as a get mapping method, and that endpoint URL we need to configure here, and this method what it will be do, this method logic it will be executed. In this method what are the logic is there, so we are going to use that service IMPL reference variable dot get all user method we are going to call. So this method what it will be going to contain that business logic we need to show you. I need to show you. So here get all user method, again this user report dot find all method. Find all method means this find all method which data, which record is available into the database. This is the this is the database table can contain record, right? How many record can contain? 7 records is there, 7 rows is there. One row means one user details, right? One row means one user details. Like that almost 7 user data available into the database, right? So all the 7 data it will be shown onto the response, right? We will check now. So by using the get method, okay, I need to send the request. See guys, here first ID 1, first name null, last name null, email ID. second also null is there, third also null. See, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh data also came, right? If you want to show this data on browser, you can see. Okay, go to that browser and click on enter. Okay, all the JSON data got this data available into the database. That data and that data comes as a JSON, right? This is that open braces and close braces is there, right? So that is the JSON data, right? List of data came here. This is that array symbol. This is that array symbol, and this is that JSON symbol, right? List of data came here. Okay, right. So, but some situation we have to require, we no need to retrieve all the data. We no need to retrieve all the data. I need to find out one particular user data only. Which one I need to say the data I want to show. So based on that ID, this is that ID, right? This is the ID. So yeah, every user can contain one user ID, right? One user ID. Which one user ID we are passing, that user data I need to see, right? We need to see. So for that, what we have to do, for that purpose, we can implement one more API. How I'm going to implementing? See guys here. See here return type. Please check here. When I'm going to store the data into the database, for that purpose, I'm return type as a string. When I'm going to retrieve all the data, list of data, I want to show list of data as a return type, right? I need to show as a single user data. So what I'm going to do, only one user, right? User entity, I need to show user entity data only. Get user data, get single user data, get one user data, and pass the user ID, right? User ID. Okay, it's completed here. And go to that service IMPL class. We can override that method. Control Shift Delete and use the user repo reference variable, and we need to call which method here. See, I'm going to call user repo dot find by ID. Only find by ID predefined method is there into the user repository interface. Based on user ID, I need to retrieve the data. So for that purpose, I'm going to use find by ID. So that find by ID method can be give that return as a particular user entity. Control Shift O. Control Shift O. No, here. Find by ID. See here that the user data is available or not. See here, I'm going to use in that optional, that is Java 8 feature. That data is there or not, we don't know, right? So for that purpose, I'm going to checking that if condition. How I'm going to checking that if condition? See here, find by ID. That ID which you are going to send the request a particular ID. That ID is there or not, is present or not. If available, then return, then find by ID dot get method. It will be returned that particular object, right? User entity object it will be given, right? And that user, if it is available, this data it will be returned, right? Return this data. If not, that which one we are sending that request, that ID is not available, then find by this method, this condition, it will be checked. ID is present. If not present, then this logic not able to execute. It's come out that if condition and it will be give return as a null, right? Go to that. Yeah, it is completed in our service MPL class, and go to that controller class now and public response entity and user entity user entity and find user find find by find by find single user and need to pass parameter as integer user ID, right? Let's go. Okay, control shift user entity. Control shift done, right? And here using the IMPL class dot get one user. This method I need to call, right? And user ID. User ID I'm going to pass, right? This user ID, it will be written some entity class. One user data it is going to return. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to return this data. TTU or return me response entity user entity comma http status code status dot okay, well, if it is available then okay. And what are the annotation at the rate get? It is also get retrieving the data from database, right? So for that I'm using that method name http method name what get, right? And that URL name is that get users single user, right? See guys, here one more mistake we did. Here checking that user ID which ID we are going to send belongs this URL. This user ID comes as a path parameter, right? So we can use at the rate path variable. Path variable annotation is there. That variable taking care for that user ID, which user ID came here. So that ID can be configured here, and that user ID can be sending to that get one user data method. Okay, is also completed. Single user, right? See here, 7 ID is there. I need to retrieve only fifth record only. Srinu record I need to retrieve. So how I'm going to send the request? See here, single user slash what is that Srinu user ID name fifth, right? 5 and get method. Only fifth record I need to show. Here all the data is there, right? I don't want to show it. Only single record. Not found. See here, the data is not getting and it is showing to us what? 404 not found, data not found, like that it will show into issue for us. So what is the issue we need to check here? At the rate get mapping single user id, this user id and this user id must be same, and this user id should be passed here, or else we can configure here also, no problem guys. Here we can configure. Okay, instead of that I'm going to use user id as a path parameter. Okay, user data, user entity. See here some error got here. What is that? I think that is the reason it's not able to get. Now check here, only particular user data I got. Okay, I want to show second data, right? Can you check now? See, all the data is enough. Data is also same. Okay, I want to show seventh data. Okay, seventh data came, but if it is not 77, data not available 77, run 200. What is that status code? 200. Okay, if the data is not available, then it will be give what? No data found, right? Null. It will be show null, right? No data is found. We can give response also from here. 200 data not available, right? So that data should be null. Return type as a null. Okay. Okay. CURD operation in 3 operation completed, right? And one more operation we can do now, that is updated. Updated is very complicated and it is little bit complicated. So guys, you need to concentrate here. Okay. It is not able to show in the data. Okay. See here, I'm going to updating the data. After that I need to delete. Okay. Based on id, based on id based on id I need to update. Okay, public return type string. If data is updated, then return as a data store, data updated successfully. I need to come response as a string, right? So, user is abstract method. Yes, root YMPL class. Control Shift delete. Set user entity. First of all, that user data is available or I need to check. Okay, I need to check. User repo dot the repo dot find or find by ID dot get ID. Find by ID. Okay, I need to check. First of all, the data is available or not. I need to check. The data present or not. Is present, then the data is there and find by ID dot get. The data should be user entity 2. Now the data should be updated, which is come and store the data. User entity, I need to set the data, right? Control need to set. Control V dot set first name to user entity dot get first name. Wait, setting it. Okay, set last name last name set email dot get dot set mobile number. Okay, once the data is after that, see here which data I need to store now. Setting to this, right? This data I need to save. Okay, dot save entity user entity. This data I need to save. Okay, what it will be written? Some entities. RETU or return data updated successfully. This message I want to show. Updated right. If the data is not there, if the data is not there, then this logic is not able to execute. Directly return none. Okay, no data found. You can write no data found, no user ID found, user ID found. You can write like that also. Go to that controller and create response entity and string update user create. Okay, same. You can take this not this one. We need to create at the rate request body, right? Request body and as the request body. One more annotation we need to take at the rate path variable is user user right. That's all. I'm going to call get record method dot update record. So user ID I need to pass not only two parameter I need to pass. One is user entity, right? At the rate sorry user entity user user entity data. Okay, then pass the user as well as user ID. Two parameter I need to pass. Done, right? This service class you can take get user ID, right? Get user ID. user ID I'm going to sending, right? Control Z. You can use service IMPL plus plus done, right? It's going to give the term user update. So what I'm going to do now, updated successfully. Uh, successfully, comma, HTTP status. Okay. And URL at the rate method, right? If we want to modify the data, then we can use put method, right? Update the first user ID taking as a the right. I'm going to check updating the data from database, which data available. I want to update the sixth record Kamala. Okay, Kamala data I want to, or else which data is there now? Kamala, right? Yeah, exactly. Kamala data I want to uh, update. Okay, instead of Kamala, uh, Pushpa. Pushpa. Love 62. Okay, I want to update this data. User ID update users. Third update method. Sixth record. Sixth record I'm going to passing as a right. In magic data access using exception, the given ID must not be null. Okay, here ID also we need to configure at the rate ID 6. data updated successfully. Sixth record, can you check? Sixth record, only 7 record is there. Okay, created time. Pushpa record, it's there. Sixth record, Pushpa came, right? Kamala is there. And Kamala, okay. Why it is not created time? All the data created successfully, no problem. Why it is null? We need to time also. We need to time also set here. Dot set created time user entity dot get created time actually this data not converted false into value. How to convert? Uh, to converted into the, see here, this is the database value which is coming. We are setting to again. We are setting set this user entity. This is a user entity. We are setting to this user entity. I am going to setting to this, right? User entity from the database going to date. How to convert? Is not able to local date. command date format dot parse date format why it is updated we are not sending the date why it is created time is changed created time I am able to pass here. This format year month three this yeah, is updated okay If updated sixth record completely, no problem. I want to change that seventh record. You can give that 7th year and give that ID as seventh record. I need to send 7th. Go to 7th record successfully updated. Kamala, right? Kamala, it will be changed. Okay. Yeah, submitted successfully. No issues. Okay. Update also completed, guys. Okay. Done. I will tell you delete later. It is almost completed 2 plus hours, so I will let you know later. Okay.